Samrit, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back, Andy. I think Josh is also on the call.
Okay. Hi. Josh. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Very good.
Good. Yeah, let's give it a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, we'll give a few minutes. Let's move. Hello, Renu garu.
Hello, Andy. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Renu garu.
Hello.
I'm just practicing muting everybody when the session goes on. So if you have to speak, please unmute yourself.
It's a great session, Andy, that BOT has planned. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for the presenters too, for giving us insights on this very happening topic right now.
Yes, it is. We should all thank Somari Dila Group for this. We're actually live on YouTube. So.
మధు అన్న గారికి కాల్ చేశారా?
నేను చేయలేదండి, మీరు ఒకసారి ఎవరైనా చేస్తే నేను ఐఎమ్ డూయింగ్ దిస్.
ఓకే, అయితే నేను లాగౌట్ అయ్యి మళ్ళీ లాగిన్ అవుతానండి.
ఓకే
ఓకే, యా.
We have about 40 registrants.
Many will be doing the YouTube anukunta, and these people are going to watch to the live.
Yeah, it's also possible.
Yeah.
మధు అన్న గారు కూడా వస్తున్నారండి.
ఓకే. Josh, I see a lot of Hyderabad references in your background. So you did some law work there also?
I did 2 degrees there.
Okay.
LLM and PhD, both in Hyderabad at Nalsar.
Okay.
And I've lived there for 11 years.
Wow. Okay.
I live there with my family now.
Okay.
I work in the Hyderabad branch of Somredi Law Group.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You know more about Hyderabad than me, I guess.
I hear that a lot.
At least he has been seeing the growing Hyderabad, right?
Yeah.
the last 11 years.
Tremendous growth.
So you know how to speak Telugu also.
I don't know much. Kunjam kunjam, I know.
కొంచెం కొంచెం. Oh wow.
Speaking is more difficult because of accent, but
Yeah.
understanding I do better at than speaking.
So don't crack jokes in Telugu in front of him. He'll understand it.
Telugu is like a tongue twister. It's like the words, right? The words, right? They are tongue twisting.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. That's why actually, like I teach in school. So when I want to pronounce some of the words, right? Because my tongue is like such a way, it's already tuned to one of the Telugu thing, right? So I cannot pronounce the digestive system, respiratory system, all those things.
Yeah.
Like, and the kids, they say they will make fun of us. But I say actually it's a kind of thing. Can you pronounce? I give some words and then they say like, can you repeat the same thing? They
Yeah.
cannot. So it's this kind of things. Yeah.
It's a trade-off.
Yep.
Yep. Same
Understand.
situation for me.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. They also don't, people there largely speak English, a lot of English in Hyderabad. So when they talk to us, they talk in English.
Yeah, it's a pretty common language because in India there are like almost 12, 15 official languages.
Right.
English is actually a common medium next to Hindi, probably.
Yeah.
Even Hindi also there are less speakers.
In North, more Hindi, but in Hyderabad,
Yeah, more English.
Mostly English, yeah.
English and Telugu. Yeah, I always say that's an Indian superpower, this navigation of languages. And Indians just take it so naturally that that's just something you do, but no one else does that. I mean, it's amazing for people to just work between languages so easily. It's a superpower. My children will read and write Hindi because they learned in school, but they don't want to speak it. They're teenagers, so they're afraid someone will make fun of them.
But that's admirable, Joshua, for the kids to learn, not not speaking at home. It's definitely not easy, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it makes it easier for us because we hear it so often
Right.
from different channels, right? From television, from parents, from outside.
Yeah, they hear it a lot less. And,
Right.
I push them on it because I tell them, look, you won't get this opportunity, again, and it's an opportunity that most people don't have to live in a different culture and to be able to navigate with native speakers. That's a tremendous opportunity for you that's unique. And I think to navigate the world, you should know multiple languages if you can do it. It's something I'm weak on, and hopefully they'll be stronger. But they don't like it when I push them. Teenage girls. It's 3 girls, all teenagers, and they don't like that.
Oh, you have your hands full.
Yeah.
We have Madhuanna joined. He's the TFAS president, and Radha garu, welcome. Okay, I think we are 9 minutes into the.
Yeah, I think we need to start.
So we can probably get started. We have a few people watching live on the YouTube as well. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Venkat Satya. I'm the secretary for Telugu Fine Arts Society. Okay, and I would like to maybe kick off this meeting with a brief introduction of the background of the speakers. Before that, Madhuanna, is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Namaskara, Santosh Garu, welcome to you, TFAS, and Joshua. I'm very happy. Dr. Joshua, right? Nice to see you, sir. Yeah, I don't see Shaila. Hope she is already there in the meeting. Thank you very much for joining. Yeah, very nice, Amma, because I would like to express my sincere thanks to Shaila first for making this legal session successfully happening. Because of her efforts only, we were able to do all these arrangements and successfully reaching the final point. Thanks to both of you, Dr. Joshua and Santosh Garu. And as you know, and I'm the president for the Telugu Finance Society. Uh, here,
Madhu, you're breaking and you're freezing a little bit. Okay, so but I think we heard what you said. Okay, Madhuvana, I think your bandwidth is low and we're not able to hear you clearly. So I think we will get started, and at the end maybe you can make some more comments. So welcome everyone. We are very lucky to have Somireddy Law Group today to talk about very relevant topics around immigration and other legal matters. I would like to take this opportunity to briefly introduce the experts here today. I'll start with Mr. Santosh Somireddy Garu. He's the founding partner of Somireddy Law Group, and his core areas of expertise are immigration, employment litigation, corporate and criminal matters. He has represented many employers, employees alike, and in complicated H-1B filings, green card applications, and breach of employment agreements, non-compete and other non-solicitation matters, to mention a few. Mr. Reddy also received his Juris Doctor degree from the University of District of Columbia School of Law, where he was the recipient of the prestigious L. Davis Award in clinical performance, top clinic performance. Like I said, his areas of expertise are immigration, litigation, corporate, employment, criminal law, and family law. I'll switch to Dr. Joshua Ryan Dalrymple. As we were talking earlier, I was pleasantly surprised to see that he also has a few degrees from Hyderabad, probably to cover some of the international aspects of the work that we all do. Dr. Joshua Ryan Dalrymple is an attorney and the executive director of SRL Professional Services Private Limited, Hyderabad. He also serves as an adjunct professor of law at Purdue University Global and is an internationally recognized conference speaker. He previously taught at Liberty University School of Law and was the Dean of School of Law at Washington University. His areas of expertise are contract, real estate, estate and tax planning, business law and civil litigation. Like Madhuvana was mentioning, we would like to thank Srimati Shaila Garu. Shaila Garu is the one that helped us to coordinate this and bring to all our Telugu Finance Society community and audience this particular webinar. Shaila Garu, do you want to say a few things before we hand it over to the attorneys to?
I would like to say one word. I would like to Satya, I would like to recognize Srimati Radha Garu is also here in this group, in this meeting group. She is one of advisors of this Telugu Finance Society. Thank you, Radha Garu, for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Shaila Garu?
Yeah, thank you, Venkat Garu. Thanks, Andy. I'm really happy because I live in New Jersey and it is an immense pleasure for me to bring our expertise attorneys to New Jersey platform. And they have already been supporting, Mr. Somireddy Garu has been supporting various TFAS activities. We have seen how much you guys do it for the community and stuff. And yes, and this is the right platform for both TFAS as well as for Somireddy Law Firm. I know you guys are working relentlessly, helping the community people and doing many great initiatives for the public. And I know you guys are very close to 50-year celebration, I believe, right? 40 is done.
42, yeah.
42nd, yeah. So that is a very nice and long commitment and dedication that all the volunteers have been sharing. And I'm excited as well, along with other audiences, to listen from the experts here today.
Thank you, Shaila Garu. We're also lucky to have Renu Tadepalli. She's our bylaws committee chairman. And we have all our board of trustees, starting with Lokendra Girakala, he's the IT chair. And we have Vani Kunsetti, she's the treasurer. And we have Latagaru, she's the youth chair. And Arundhati Garu, who is the membership chair. And we have a few of our other trustees who are in India and traveling, including our own Madhuanna. So we would like to thank Madhuanna for coming up late on this call. This is a very late hour for him. I think Radhagaru probably is also in India. So thank you, Radhagaru, for joining. With that, Santosh Garu and Joshua ji, we're going to hand it over to you. So maybe one of you can start and maybe you can talk through a little bit about Somareddy law and also for the topics that we have selected today.
Good. So, hello everyone. First of all, I would like to thank TFAS team for arranging this webinar. It's really a pleasure working with you. It's been a few years, right, Shaila Garu, that we've been working with TFAS.
Oh, yeah. Close to 4 years.
At least for 4 to 5 years. And it's always a pleasure. Madhu Garu, I know we used to talk a lot before. So, for those who don't know, my name is Santosh. I'm the founder of Somareddy Law Group. We're a full-service law firm with offices in Virginia, New Jersey, North Carolina, and India. So we started as an immigration firm, but now we practice pretty much every area of law that the immigrant community needs, right? So now we have a team of 8 attorneys and over 120 professionals working in our team. So we pretty much handle every area of law that immigrants need. We do immigration, litigation, corporate, family, criminal. Also in New Jersey, we do real estate, right? So if somebody wants to buy or sell a house, actually Vijay is not on the call right now. Vijay heads our New Jersey office. Joshua is our attorney and heading the Hyderabad office. First, we'll start with Josh's presentation. He will discuss more interesting because immigration, everybody has been discussing. Of course, I'm gonna answer all the questions and then I'll also go through the updates at the end. But there is another pressing issue that we see that a lot of individuals are facing, especially in the recent past. We have seen a lot of people who are in a situation wherein their spouses passed away without leaving a proper will and sometimes a trust, which is more important actually. And we want to go through that one. I want Josh to clearly explain what are the options available for each of these individuals, when they should choose what type of category and all that stuff. So without further delay, just FYI, Josh is our attorney. He actually works out of our Hyderabad office. So he knows the cultural this thing also, because a lot of these areas of law require someone who has an understanding of our culture too, right? So Josh, over to you.
Thank you, Santosh. I find it's always a pleasure to speak to a group of Indians in the US because it feels a little like home in Hyderabad. That's been my home for 11 years, and it's been just an amazing experience. And India is very, very close to our hearts as a family and as a law firm. And some of the things that have happened recently, especially with immigration, raises a lot of fear and questions in clients' minds. And some of those involve things like estate planning. What do we do with assets? What do we do with assets if we are sent out of the country? What do we do with assets between two countries? What do we do with assets after we pass? How do we make sure that our families and children are cared for? So I like to kind of walk clients through some of the options that they have and how to kind of begin that process. So I'll start from the beginning. I always tell clients that you have an estate plan even if you've done nothing. The state where you're located has already decided what's going to happen to your assets. They have a plan for you that's a default plan that will work if you don't do anything. And your assets will pass to somebody and according to what is in the statute. Most people don't really want the state to decide how that goes. They want to have a hand in distributing their assets if something were to happen to them. So in order to do that, our very basic estate plan is a will. And that's what everybody's pretty much familiar with, is a will. It's just a set of instructions that says to the state, hey, I don't want you to decide where my assets go. I would like to do it. And the will then can be used, and those instructions could be followed after you pass. We do draft a lot of those for clients, but they run into some difficulties that I like to kind of highlight that people often don't know. One, that will has to go through a court proceeding called probate. When you pass, that will is entered into the court system. That's how assets pass, with some court oversight. And whenever we have government oversight, we also have some issues like delay. It doesn't move quickly. Usually it takes about 6 months to 2 years to work through the probate system before assets can be distributed. That often is way too much time for people who are trying to handle things, after the death of a loved one. It also causes privacy issues. Once something's entered into the court system, other people can see what's going on. That means salesmen might approach children with life insurance plans and death benefits and all kinds of things that they're trying to sell at that time. And it's a sensitive time where we don't want to see a lot of that happening. They can also take a look at what assets you have and where they went and who got what. So there's a big privacy issue with public records. The third thing that I run into more often than not is fees, probate fees. When you put something into the court system, you're going to have lawyers and CPAs and other professionals working on it to make sure that you comply with the court requirements. And that usually costs somewhere around 5% of the estate. So if you just do a quick calculation in your head and you think, here's approximately my net worth, about 5% of that is going to go out the door if you have a will, or if you don't have a will, you don't have anything, and you work through that probate system. So generally, I say to people, if you have purchased a house or you have a couple $100,000 in assets, you probably need to start considering some more advanced planning beyond just a simple will. And that gets us into trust territory. So when we're doing estate planning, and estate planning is a term we use for the plan for what happens to assets after death. That's the term for these things. And then things like wills and trusts and power of attorney, they're just tools in the toolbox that we use to make sure that assets pass the way that they're supposed to. So my job as an attorney is to make sure that I help clients minimize cost. I help kind of select some of those tools because the client isn't going to know what is out there and what's available. So I select some tools that help them meet their goals and deal with their assets in the way that does things like eliminate probate costs, cut down on delay, and keep privacy. Our first, kind of foray into that, or our foundational document we use pretty regularly, is a revocable living trust. A revocable living trust. So a revocable living trust works a little less like a set of instructions. Now it has instructions as well, but it works a little bit more like a box. Revocable living trust sets up this figurative box, and then we move assets into the box. And while you're living, you get to hold the box. You get to move assets in and out. It's completely flexible. You don't have any limitations to it. You can change the terms. You can adjust it. But when you pass, then you're going to pass the box to someone else. It passes automatically to them, and they're responsible for handling the items that are in the box according to your instructions. That avoids the court system unnecessarily. If that person follows the instructions, it's very, very simple after death. They can distribute assets immediately. It cuts down on delay. They can keep it entirely private, and it eliminates probate costs because it doesn't go through the court system. So you save a lot of money, a lot of time, and conserve privacy with a revocable living trust. I'm a big fan of them because they're very, very flexible. We can do all kinds of things with a trust that might meet a client's needs, like carrying it out over time. Maybe they don't want to distribute assets immediately. We can do that. Maybe they have a minor child or somebody, a family member who's disabled. we can plan around that too. We have a lot of options there. So I want to take a brief pause there and just ask if there are any questions on what I've explained so far.
Yeah. So just just to reiterate whatever Joshua mentioned, right? So basically what he's trying to say is everyone needs a will, period, right? If you are here, if you have anything to do with, if you want something to happen as per your requirements, you need a will, right? And that has to be properly attested and all this. So you have to meet the state requirements. Second thing, if you have any property in the US, right? Like if at least if it's more than $200,000 to $300,000 within house or something like that, it's better to have a trust, right? In that way, you don't have to go through the probate process at all. So the trust, we don't have to provide a death certificate, nothing. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go through the court process, so that you can avoid all the hassle, right? By just having a simple trust, which will hold all the properties. Of course, even if you have a trust, we still have a will also, because sometimes you may miss putting certain things in the trust, whatever, right? If that happens, then it goes to the will, right? So it's better to have a trust whenever you have any property in the US, right? At least if we have $200,000, $300,000, better to have a trust. The thing is, third thing is, he was referring to revocable trust and irrevocable trust, right? So revocable trust. So basically, you can revoke the trust at any point of time, but your creditors would also have access to it, right? Whereas irrevocable trust is is another type of trust wherein your creditors will not be able to get access to it, right? Unless there are certain exceptions, like maybe IRS can get to it, and then also child support, right, Josh? Only those two things.
Yeah, correct. So irrevocable trusts, you give up control of the trust. So I said revocable means you can change it at any point, right? But an irrevocable trust is locked in. Once you make it, the assets are in the trust and they're locked in. You can't make changes to it. But giving up that control sometimes offers particular benefits for clients. So remember, I talked about how estate planning is like a toolbox, right? Irrevocable trusts are a different type of tool we have. If we're trying to, as Santosh said, protect assets from creditors coming after them, if we're trying to protect assets from being taxed, we have tax planning, a variety of different types of trusts that help with tax planning, and do some things where we need to give up that control, but we want to get some benefit from that. Now, trusts, there are 1,000 different types of trusts. And when we're doing tax planning, I always say the IRS is, they're going to try to get their taxes. And if you want to avoid that, it's a balance, giving up a little bit of control for savings on taxes. But the IRS is generous with us in that they allow us to choose where we give up control. So you may not have to give up control over all your assets. You may select particular ones that you don't need as much control over, and we give up control on those rather than other assets that you want control over. So there are some really creative things we can do, and I have a lot of fun doing this, finding ways to save money and keep it out of the hands of government, and keep it back in your pocket so that you can pass it on to the next generation. And we can do all kinds of stuff by combining different types of trusts, working with financial planners as far as insurance or investment types of investment vehicles you can use. There's a lot of planning that needs to go in, and that's kind of our job as attorneys, is to work through some of that. It also, you have some complications when you're working between assets here and, say, in India. That's something we deal with very regularly for our clients. A lot of our clients, of course, are Indian. So, we work between the two countries to make sure everything moves the way that you want it to move, and it passes to your, spouse and children in the way that you choose. So we have to sometimes work between those various jurisdictions for that. Santosh, you're on mute.
Yeah, majority of the questions we had, the pre-questionnaires that we have received, are around the main differences between will and trust. And people want to understand. I think you kind of clarified that in this call. There is some specific question that's asking, like, I have one investment property and one primary residence. Is will better or a trust better? So it's
definitely a trust in that situation. If you have a residence at all, you're beyond what a will can really do to help you. if because of probate costs mainly, if if you have those assets and they go through probate, you're going to pay a lot. When we're dealing with investment properties too, we're dealing with an increased risk of liability, right? Especially if it's like a rental property, which a lot of people have a rental property. But if you have a tenant on that property that does something crazy, tenants often don't have any money. So somebody, if they commit some act and they damage somebody, that person is going to go after you as the property owner rather than the tenant because you have the deep pockets. So that's where we need to do some advanced risk planning, things like using LLCs and insurance and trusts to try to protect your assets as much as we possibly can, so that we minimize the risk that's there. You definitely don't want somebody who's damaged to wipe you out financially because you just didn't do anything ahead of time. And this is the one thing I say about estate planning and risk planning: you have to do it early. Right? You never know when that event is going to happen, where somebody sues you, or worst case scenario, you pass away, and we don't want to leave things undone that cause problems for the family further on. So you have to do it early, and it's an ongoing thing. This is something that you have to assess all the time, right? If you add extra rental properties, well, we need to work with the trust to make sure those are protected as well. If you have changes in your life in some way, we need to review your estate plan, make sure that it still works the way that you want.
Thank you, Josh.
Also, you got to be a little careful, especially when you have life insurance or a 401k plan, right? Because we have seen situations wherein people have one person as a beneficiary. Like maybe Josh, you wanna explain those situations
Yeah, sure.
wherein
So people
ex-spouse.
ask, how do we manage like life insurance or investment policies and things? Do those need to go in the trust? I always recommend that we do put those in the trust, and here's why. I've had clients that will have a situation come up in their lives. Say a child surprises them and says, "Look, I've been struggling with drugs or alcohol or something that is causing problems in my life," or the child marries a spouse that is struggling with these things, and now we've got asset risk there. Of course, you still love your children, you want to provide for them, but also putting a lot of money in the hands of somebody who's struggling with drugs is going to be a problem. So we need to plan around that, and we want to do that lovingly and quietly. But what happens is, if assets are not in the trust, we have things hanging at life insurances and things, you have to go through your entire asset list, changing things all along the way, right? You have to work with every single company to fix those things. If all of those things we get transferred into the trust and we need to make a change somewhere, we just need to change the trust one place. It's cheaper, it's easy, it's quick, and it changes everything down the line as far as assets go, so that you don't miss anything. I've had a number of situations where maybe there's an ex-spouse on life insurance policies and it never got changed, and now it doesn't go to the children, it's going to go to the ex-spouse, which is not at all what the person wanted. They just forgot. So trusts help us in a way that we don't have to try to remember all these things. And as we get older, this is not something you want to think about every day, right? You're not thinking about who's on which policy and where all this stuff goes. You want to enjoy your life. Trusts allow us to do that. It's a simple way to kind of manage assets all in one spot. So very, very useful for that.
Joshua, I have a question. My name is Radha. I have an adult autistic son who is on the spectrum. We created a trust long time back, I think about 20 years back. And now I don't have my husband anymore. So I'm thinking like the trust is created, but we never put any money into it.
Uh-huh.
Is there a time that I need to do? Or can I mention it? I have already a will. If I mention it in my will, it will automatically go into the trust without me taking any action at this point.
This is a great question. I love this question because it's something that often gets misunderstood by clients. And of course, right, you're not an expert on the differences between wills and trusts, and you don't want to be. A trust only helps if the assets are in the trust. Remember, it's a box. If the box is empty, it's useless for us. And what you're suggesting is the box would be filled upon your death by the will directing everything into the trust. It will work that way, but the will has to go through probate. So we lose the big advantage of the trust by avoiding probate, because now we've used the will to go through probate and pass assets instead of to your children into the trust. So it kind of discourages even having a trust to begin with. You could do that by just passing those assets by will to your son. So the best thing that you can do is get as many assets in. It's what we call funding the trust. Get those assets into the trust, and we can help you with that. We do that sometimes with clients. Review the trust, work through assets, and help them fund that trust. It's not a difficult process. It's something that's fairly easy to do. Shouldn't cost you any inconvenience really to get that done. The other thing you mentioned that I want to tag on, you have a son that has autism, and of course there's various, autism is a spectrum, so I don't know how that affects your family, but it is something that we can plan for is situations like that through trust planning. So one of the things that we run into quite often with clients that have children that have some sort of disability is they may be receiving some government benefits. The government's happy to pay for that as long as they don't have any assets. But if your assets go to your son, they do what's called a spend down. They make all those assets be spent down to zero before they'll pick up those benefits again, right? And then those assets aren't used for his care throughout his life. So we can do what's called a special needs trust, which protects those assets so that the trust pays out for his needs, living expenses, trips, anything that he needs, but the government can't force the spend down. So he retains his government benefits and also has money to live a life that's quite a bit better than if he was just only on government benefits. So trusts are really helpful for things like that.
We do have the one that we have is special needs trust that we started. And also I have another question. I have a daughter. So the will says that some of the assets go to her, rest of it goes to my son's trust. But do I need to do anything on that end of it? How the funds go to my daughter?
Perhaps so. What I would suggest is get a review, come to us to do a review of the trust. I can take a look at it and see what it does. If it's only a special needs trust, I would suggest having another trust for her or modifying the trust that you have if possible to include her in the trust. And that way all of the assets will avoid probate. All right. That's what I would suggest. And so that it avoids probate and it puts in her hands what you want and it puts for his care what you want for that as well. I always tell clients, if we draft a will, like Santosh said, we always draft a will like you're describing that will move things into the trust at death. It's kind of a catch-all. It's designed for if you don't do it during your lifetime. If we do everything properly, you'll never use it. The best thing would be is to not use that will at all, because then we can avoid court entirely. And that's always a good thing for clients.
When my husband passed away, I didn't face any difficulty. Within 1 month, the will was provided, everything taken care of.
Between spouses, it's not difficult at all. Upon the first death of the spouse, we usually have no issue whatsoever. It's the second death that is the one that causes issues, tax issues, probate issues, delays. It's when it passes to that next generation. That's when we have trouble.
Thanks for answering my question.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad to do it.
So we actually have another issue too. So we know husband had life insurance for his wife, okay, and they had a minor child. So now wife passed away, husband received the life insurance money, but he cannot take full control of the money now because half of that money, like part of that money, should go to the child, okay, and the court would require you to put a bond. And it's an unnecessary headache going through the process and all the stuff. So if they had clearly mentioned the this thing, like the trust as the beneficiary, then they would not have to go through all these problems now.
Yep. And
Yeah,
bond
so
waivers is something we do in all these documents because the court regularly requires a bond for all of this. So we can waive that bond just by having a document that says the bond is waived. And so that's something that is a cost savings right out of the gate. That's a cost savings for clients when we're planning these things.
Thank you. If anyone has questions, you can either type it in the chat or you're welcome to ask the attorneys at this time. I think we can move forward, Josh.
All right. Well, let's turn it over to Santosh to talk a little bit about immigration updates then. As you think about it, if you have other questions on estate planning, feel free to ask, and I'm happy to answer. But
I have a question on the assets in US and in India.
Yeah.
Right, and most of us are here like citizens of US and all, but we do have properties back in India too. And is there something that can be done to make sure that both the assets in both the countries are goes as per our wish to our next generation?
That's a really common one with our clients. I mean, we represent a lot of Indian clients, of course, and you know, a lot of Indian clients have assets in both countries. This is a regular thing that we run into. Typically, what I advise clients to do is set up their estate plan in the US. Let's get that all set. You know, get your trust in place, get everything set here. Then subsequent to that, you know, usually immediately after, then we want to set up an estate plan in India as well, because India won't recognize the US one. So what we do is we have an estate plan there as well, that everything then will pour over into the US or be handled in another way. But generally speaking, most clients want it liquidated, poured over because their children will remain in the US. So we plan for all of that, and we just do it on both sides.
Good.
Sorry to take up the thing by myself. Nobody's asking questions. So I do have another question.
Please feel free.
Do you handle any non-profit organization properties in India?
I don't handle. I do a nonprofit in the US. I don't handle anything in India because I'm not licensed in India. But that's not to say I can't help you with it. So we have a lot of law firms and we have Indian lawyers that work with us very closely that can do that sort of thing in India. So if you have issues, this is what I always tell clients, come to us and we'll get you help. Even if it's not me personally doing it, I'll make sure that you can get help. It's a huge advantage that we have offices in both places. It makes it easy to work between and help clients on both sides of the ocean.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good. So now should we move to immigration side?
Yes.
So few of main important updates, right? So now with this new regulation that went into effect from October 31st, there is no automatic renewal of work authorization based on a pending EAD application, right? So until now, for example, if somebody was on GCEAD or H4EAD, as long as they have timely filed for an extension, they were authorized to work for up to 540 days. But now with this regulation, you're no longer allowed to work while the application is still pending with USCIS. That's a major change, and it's going to affect a lot of individuals, especially those who are working based on working with EAD based on pending adjustment of status application or H4 EAD. There's a misconception that it would apply for OPT students, which it does not apply to OPT students, because OPT students, they would still get the automatic extension for 180 days instead of 540 days. Right? So the next thing is regarding the application of the proclamation order, which requires the employers to pay 100K fees to the government whenever they are sponsoring H-1Bs for certain individuals unless they receive an exemption, right? So basically what it says is that if any person who does not have an existing valid visa, right? And if their H-1B is approved for consular notification, then they would be subject to the 100K proclamation order, right? Unless they are able to obtain an exemption. Is there anyone on this call who are on H-1Bs or OPT? Because I see that most of the people on this call are US citizens or green card holders. I don't know.
One lady is in OPT. She has some questions in OPT.
Sure. Could you please ask your questions in that way? It'll be easy for me to guide you through the process. So then one important thing that I want to mention about OPT. So in the recent past, we have seen that a lot of individuals are receiving OPT denials for the following reasons, right? Number one, sometimes they have been submitting the EAD applications even before receiving the OPT I-20 from school. This happens all the time. So please be very careful. First, you need to get the OPT I-20, then only submit the EAD application. Okay, this has been happening for cases where they submit these applications online. The second reason why we see a lot of OPT denials is an OPT application must be submitted to USCIS within 30 days of the DSO entering the recommendation for OPT into the service portal. If you miss the 30-day deadline, then your application will be denied. We have seen many cases wherein these individuals apply for OPT EAD like after 30th day. Most of the case times, for some reason, it's on 31st or 32nd day. So please avoid that one. Okay. Also, I recommend that you remember the 30-day, 60-day, 90-day rule, right? 30-day is for submitting the OPT EAD application, right? You need to submit the application within 30 days from the day the DSO enters a recommendation into your service portal, right? 60-day, you have 60 days from the day you graduate to submit your OPT application. 90 days, you can submit your OPT application as early as 90 days before you graduate. But one of the reasons why I would not recommend applying for OPT before they graduate is that we have seen cases wherein they apply for the OPT and then they realize that they cannot graduate because they missed a grade or whatever reason, or maybe they not submit their project work for whatever reason, right? So you know, to avoid such situations, I recommend that you wait until you meet all your graduation requirements, then apply for OPT EAD. Another thing, do not start working until you receive the OPT card in hand, right? We have seen situations wherein people start working with the email approval notice. If you do that, that's actually considered as working without authorization, and your service could be terminated. So here is my recommendation. For anyone who is about to graduate, wait until you meet the graduation requirements, then request your DSO to enter the recommendation for OPT into your service portal. As soon as you get the I-20, submit the OPT application under premium processing. That way, you can start working as soon as you get your EAD card in hand. Okay, now I want to listen to your question regarding OPT. I think there is somebody on this call who is on OPT, right?
Venkat Garu, Vani is the one that asked the question.
That is correct.
What is the question?
No, I think she asked on behalf of somebody who is on OPT.
Yes, Andy. Sorry. Yeah, my niece in OPT. So she have some questions. So she's in the call. Preshu, can you please ask questions?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, we applied for our OPT from February is the start date. So if we have any plans for going to India, is it fine or we should cancel our plans?
So when do you graduate? You already graduate?
This December we are graduating, and we applied for our OPT on October last.
I recommend avoiding travel if at all, unless it's important.
Yeah, if there is any emergency.
If it's emergency, then you can travel because most of the people would not have an issue. But there are certain offices, especially during this administration, I want to be a little more cautious.
Okay, and we should have our proofs, right? When you're coming back, they will check.
Yeah. At least wait until. So in this case, I recommend that you apply for your OPT under premium processing, get the OPT card in hand by the time before you enter back into the country.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Because if you don't have an OPT approval, then pretty much you're out of status kind of thing, right? By the time because your course is already over.
Yeah, got it.
Again, it depends upon the officer. Sometimes they may allow you based on an OPT I-20. Some officers are not as friendly.
Yeah.
So if I were to be in your shoes, I would not travel unless it's emergency.
Yeah, got it. Okay, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions from anyone?
Venkat Garu, is there anyone watching on YouTube? Do everybody who is watching has an access to send a message?
Not really. I think they can probably make a comments on YouTube, but
You should have had that.
yeah.
Okay.
Do we have all those registered candidates who sent us the questions on in this call, Satya Garu?
No, I don't think everybody has joined. No, not everybody joined from the thing, but they did whatever the questions, we have already sent it to the attorneys before.
I have a question. You may have answered it, but I just want to clarify. So are we saying that the students who are in universities now completing their studies, when they get employed, do the employers have to pay the 100K or no?
No. So because the employers will be, see, 100K would only apply for a petition that is approved for consular notification, right? That means the change of status or extension of status is not approved, right? So if the person is already in the US, they would typically apply for a change of status, right? So if the change of status is approved, then they will not have to worry about the 100K proclamation.
Okay.
Right?
It doesn't. Okay, it doesn't affect that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
This is not really related to OPT, but there is a question in general on the immigration topic. What are the step-by-step guidelines for switching companies while on an H-1B and its implications? This is one of the pre-questions that came in.
Well, so basically, if somebody is laid off, right? I'm assuming that the person is laid off, or do they want to transfer themselves?
They want to transfer. That is only information.
Well, if they want to transfer, then once they get if they're already on H-1B, and once a new employer files their H-1B, they can transfer and start working for the new employer with the receipt notice. Right. So, but I want you to be a little more cautious if your I-94 is expiring, because if your I-94 is expiring, and for some reason, if the new employer files under regular processing and the petition gets denied, or if you lose a job, then you'll be in trouble, right? So if your I-94 is about to expire soon, then I recommend that you file the transfer under premium processing. But other than that, you should be fine. We encounter issues when somebody gets terminated from their employment, right? So typically, as long as they have a valid I-94 past 60 days, they are eligible to continue staying in the US for 60 days, okay, during which they can apply for a change of status or move to a different employer, right? So if they're not able to find anything with any job within 60 days, and if they're not able to move to a different visa status, then they will have to leave the country. Good. Yeah, I think unless anyone else has any questions. Yeah.
Does anybody has any questions? You can post it on the chat, or you can just speak up. You can unmute yourself.
I'm good, Andy. I'm good on my side. Thank you.
Good. Okay, Andy. I think we're almost like 1 hour, but thank you. I hope the session was informational, and yeah, thank you, TFAS team, Josh, like everybody, and yeah, look forward to many more in the future.
Yeah, Santosh Garu and Josh, thank you so much for very insightful presentation that you have. This is a beginning. I'm sure if anybody has any follow-ups and all, they can certainly reach out to you and get further more information. We hope to also do a few more sessions if our community demands for the similar things in the future.
We could probably do a session on the real estate matters, because they are like most of you are in New Jersey, right? And we could probably have Vijay do a session describing the typical mistakes that people make while buying and selling a residential or commercial property in New Jersey. So that'll be more appropriate. So Shailagar can probably work with you and schedule it in the near future.
Certainly, we'll do that. So I don't think if you have any questions, Madhuana, is there anything you want to?
Nothing special. It's a really useful session, Joshua and so Santosh Garu. You are so kind to give all the details about the subjects and also answer the questions from all the people or for the questions already shared to you. Uh, as you said, we'll definitely look forward meeting you and arranging sessions as Satya also committed and promised. We'll do it more and more in future also in our term especially. And I'm sure this would help the community, whoever is watching, and they have lots of information. The same could be passed on to their friends and families, which could be very useful to their questions also. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks everyone, and thanks everyone to
Thank you, everyone.
joining.
Last and important, Santosh Garu, we'd like to see you again in your new office again. Now, how is the office, sir?
Good. Josh, he works out of that office.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
definitely come
is
see
it?
me.
I was there on the inauguration day. That day, I still remember. That was good. Okay, wonderful. So,
Thank you.
nice to see you once again.
Yeah.